Alright everybody, it's a fun one this month because we're doing a lot of world building streams. We're at a point in the game development that's pretty intense. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on behind the scenes I'm excited to talk about soon. But in the meantime, it's fun doing this on stream. So we're going to spend a few streams doing world building. And last stream we started it. We started getting into discussion last stream, and we've got this super long, well, it's not super long yet, but it will be a doc of all our thoughts and ideas. And eventually all this is going to go into the Lore Bible, which is here, which we use World Anvil for, which is amazing. Recommend it for anyone else who's making their own world for anything at all, whether it's a game, a novel, a D&D campaign. It's a pretty organised way of putting it all together. So we're using a doc for now just to get our thoughts out, because it's all messy notes right now. Nothing's 100% set in stone. It's all just thoughts and ideas. And then once we're happy with what we got, we'll start making some articles and putting them in the Lore Bible. Cosplaying as a lemon today. I am. How did you guess? Gotta love this bright yellow sweater, right? I'm cosplaying as Lemon from Raindrop Chronicles. All I need is the scar across my cheek, and then I would be him. I've got the snivels as well today, so hopefully I don't sneeze all over the stream. That wouldn't be very pretty. Alright, so last stream it was all about the calendar, which of course involves the years, months, and all the little bits like, how time's measured, when was time calculated from, because obviously there's no such thing as Jesus in this world. Christianity, there's no so that it has to be a whole new event that we decide ourselves for our world of when the year zero began, and we put some thoughts together. We even thought of some holiday ideas, because calendars always give an opportunity to come up with some really cool events and holidays and festivals. And we started coming up with potential month names as well from this idea here that I have highlighted here, because we're going to measure months by the sun and years by the sun as well, rather than the moon in this world. So these month names are pretty cool. I like them. I think they're a good starting point. We settled on Rose for the autumn ones. It's pretty obvious why. Well, we don't have a character called Rose anymore. They've been renamed to Violet, so technically we could use that colour for those months without it being confusing. I went for it because it's one syllable, simple sounding, and one thing I've noticed about all the colours we've chosen for the months is that they're very simple. So it would be weird if we had something very exotic and then all the other 3 months were simple ones. So I've settled on that one. Rose, I thought I lost you. Hi, Artist Minute. You thought you lost me? How come? Why would I ever be lost now? So there's a few ideas, there's a few blank spots. We still haven't settled on days of the week names yet, but we're going to hold off on that until the thought comes to us, because I'm thinking we could get inspired as we think of more things. And same for the year. AD after something perhaps would probably be best. So we've got that familiarity, I'll say it. So with the real world. But we'll see. And I think today we could spend some time thinking of holidays and festivals, like more thoroughly than we did last stream, because last stream was more specifically about the calendar and the months and how the calendar should be structured. It's very likely going to be a 360 days a year thing with 30 days a month. I've actually put March as the first month here. Now, this isn't 100% set in stone, by the way. Can always be changed. Anything on here could be changed before it goes into the Law Bible. But which is interesting, because I was doing a bit of research and found that our old calendar in the Roman times actually had March as the first month, apparently. And it makes sense, because it's when spring begins, and it feels like a fresh start, right? So I totally wouldn't be against going for March being the first month on our calendar. Well, it's not called March now, it's called New Green. It makes more sense rather than having January the first month, because January is in the middle of the blue section of the orbit around the sun. So it would be weird to have like it'd be blue at the end with new blue, and then full blue at the start of the year. It makes more sense starting a fresh new colour at the start of the year, I feel. And I watched your stream months ago and haven't seen you. I thought I forgot to follow. Guest schedule is just weird. Miss your amazing accent. Well, I'll try my best to be very communicative with my schedule. I'm very informing you guys, and we did recently have a schedule change. I'm on streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. It used to be different days of the week, but I'm always very guys, it's this now. I actually don't shut up about it. So Discord's the best place to be. Why haven't we got a schedule command? That is silly of me. Discord is the best place to be, though, if you want to keep up with the streams and the game, because we should be on. Let's just check. Discord's the best place to be if you want to keep up with the streams and stuff, because I always post in there. That's where everything always goes. Otherwise, it's very easy to kind of not know where I am, even though I put it in all my banners and stuff, what my times are. But I understand. It can happen. It can happen for sure. But it's good to see you. I'm so glad you've come back. And there's days are named after the planets and gods and stuff. Yeah, very interesting, because we're sort of going that way with the months, with calling them colours, because that was an idea that we had last stream, like the sun be acting as a sort of prism where different seasons are different colours. And it sounds pretty cool saying that you were born on the 24th of New Gold or something. It's a little bit more exotic than the real world, because I think our month names are a little bit boring, but that's maybe because we're used to them. The days, we could go for a gods thing with the days. That could totally work, because other than, there's not... what else could we be inspired by? We've already used the sun idea for the months, and we do have a gods and pantheon stream coming up, and that might be the time when we actually set in stone who they are and what their names are, and then that might help us with coming up with names for days of the week. And I figured we could spend a stream focusing on holiday and festival ideas, because that's going to lead into, probably going to help us lead into these other ones as well, and get some seeds planted for the next sections coming up. And it'd be good to think of festivals and holidays for Lakefall and Everbloom specifically as well, but not necessarily. We could think of general ones too. We don't limit ourselves. But I've made blue the ones that are probably going to be the topic of discussion for now. Although thinking of events and festivals and holidays might end up helping us decide this one as well, so I'll make that one blue. And probably bits of these. Like, a lot of festivals can be based on things like weather and all sorts of things, and politics and religion. So I think it's gonna help come up with a few things. Hi Kung, how's it going? So good to see you. I hope you're having a good day. Chub day, imagine. There's a god called Chub, right? Yeah, just imagine. It's gonna be fun. I'm thinking we could have the gods stream next week. I could see us easily moving on to that topic very soon. So keep your eyes peeled. And all these streams will of course be uploaded on YouTube as well, a few days, you know, after they've been broadcast. Right, so we did have a few ideas last stream, but might go even wilder with this list today. We're gonna see what we can come up with, and we're not gonna limit ourselves and our creativity, because I think it'd be super cool if we come up with some like super whimsical, unique, bonkers events, you know. I think that would be cool. I've got a few things tabbed open for inspiration. I've got a massive long list of a world building guide. But yeah, don't ask. I opened up I googled holiday festival ideas to find, you know, ones that are around the world, to get some inspiration, because it's always I think it's pretty good to get inspired by real life holidays. And then this one just came up and I was like, yeah, that is really strange. There really is a festival for everything. So yeah, weird festivals, because like I said, having unique ones will be fun. Fun fact about months I heard: October, November, December used to be 8th, 9th and 10th months, but Julius and Augustus wanted the months named after them to be warm, so they pushed the others back. Oh, interesting. So that means that January and February were the 11th and 12th months, if that is the case, which makes sense, because I mentioned earlier that I read something saying March used to be the first month in the year on the old calendar, which is why that isn't solely why I've switched March to our first month. I mainly made March our first month because it's a new colour. It's the start of the green part of the year, and it would be weird to like have blue at the end and blue at the start and split them up. So it's a lot tidier like this, and spring usually signifies new start, fresh start, and it kind of makes more sense as the first part of the year, in my opinion. It's tidier. I want our calendar to be a little bit more simplified than the real Earth calendar. That's why we're not going to have any months with odd days in them. 30 days per month is fine, and it's a bit tidier then, a bit more memorable. Added to my bucket list. And oh my god, that's a weird festival. When is it? Asking Fred. Let's read up on them. I think we should spend some time reading about some crazy festivals, and it could help inspire. That's going to be the plan, to get inspired by what's out there. So this is the first one. The Pina Festival in Japan is one of the weird festivals around the world. So it says, in a country that is normally so polite, it's odd to see an enormous pink pina being carried through the streets, but that's what you get each year. Officially huge event everywhere, not only where... Wow, I didn't know about this. Did anyone else? The festival began many years ago as a religious event around the shrine here that was associated with things like fertility, marriage and birth. Now it's mainly about fun, but still has a spiritual side to it. Probably one of the weirdest festivals in the world. Yeah, for sure. I don't think we're going to get weirder than that one. So yeah, our mind is not limited by what we can have as a festival, guys. That's proof. Oh, another one. So Middle Earth Festival, Birmingham, United Kingdom, and its surrounding areas, the home and inspiration of the famous movie and novel Lord of the Rings. Right, so have we got a picture of that festival? Oh my god, Alethan, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate that. How are you guys doing? I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much. Let's have a shout out and see what you were up to. Tabletop RPGs. Oh my goodness, tell us about how it went. Tell us what you're up to and how the campaign went. I'm assuming you had a session. You are getting a raid while looking up a peanut festival. I apologise, everybody. What a thing to walk into. Yes. I think an alert is covering it up, so you're safe, everybody. But yeah, we're looking up crazy and weird festivals around the world. I've got a bunch of articles. Oh, it's come up in this article as well. So we can get inspired by all the weird festivals for our own world, our own RPG, because we're focusing on the moment, on the calendar and events and festivals, so we can really make our world fun and feel real and like it's people of lives in this world and things that they celebrate. So we're gonna get, just make a bullet point like of tons of different festival ideas. I'm going to get loads of bullet points up now so we know that they're going to go there. We had a few ideas last stream, so we've already started the bullet points, but we need more. Good morning, hi Van, how are you doing? It's so good to see you. I hope you're doing good today. And thank you, Angry Gamer Mum, for that follow as well. And Dappy, I appreciate those follows. Oh my goodness, thank you Van for the sub, 11 months. Oh my goodness, that is a special number. It's 1 month away from a very special milestone. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support, friend. I'm worldbuilding my homebrew setting. Oh, that sounds cool. Oh yes, worldbuilding is fun and it's always good to make more friends who like worldbuilding. And it's good to see others doing that on Twitch too, because I feel like it needs to be more loved and everybody needs to do it more. There needs to be a world building category on Twitch. Right? I think so. Maybe they celebrate the start of the rainy season. Yeah, that's a good thing to think of, because maybe before we read through all these articles, we should list different types of festivals, because that might help out a bunch. Just to get the ideas flowing, and now we know what the months are as well. We're technically gonna have seasons in this world, as you can see. We have split the year up into quarters, with a colour symbolising each season and quarter of a year. We're starting with, I may just update you on how the calendar's looking, folks. I've thought that March should be the start of the year in our world, mainly because it's a bit odd to have the blue segment split and have the last month be new blue and the first month of the next year be full blue. And also because spring makes a lot of sense because it has associations with a new beginning, fresh start. So it works, I think, and it's a lot tidier to have it be a new colour for a new year. And for this idea, I mean, we're not 100%, we don't necessarily have to have these as the names we'll go for, but I think it's a good starting point. Because we ended up going for simple colours like green and blue, it made more sense to me to be consistent with the simple one word colour, rather than have an exotic colour mixed in with them. So I went with rose because, well, I'm a bit biased. I feel like it's got the red kind of, obviously, the colour scheme, and we was going for something reddish for autumn because that's green, obviously, for spring, yellow for summer, red for autumn and blue for winter. And we don't have a character called Rose anymore. We used to, so technically we could have that as our colour. And I think it goes and complements the other names nicely. And what have I missed? Not much, Van. We haven't been streaming long. We've just begun, and I've just caught everyone up on what we did last stream, which was our calendar. We come up with some really cool ideas and structures for our calendar last stream, and eventually all those are going to go in Law Bible articles once we've set it in stone 100% and it's tidy and we're happy with it. And we're moving on to the holiday and festival section today, because we were sort of halfway through this last stream and we started having some good ideas, but we didn't really stretch the ideas too far. So I figured we could really get wild potentially with ideas today and list some. We can split it into categories by season if we want to eventually think of the festivals that are going each month, but for now we could just do whatever and write a big list. And being unique is kind of a good thing. Some crazy, funny, amusing, charming, whimsical ideas would be cool. And I've got a few articles here up so we can read about real world festivals and get inspired to see what else others do, particularly weird festivals. So that's going to be fun. And let's catch up with what chat is saying, because you guys are coming up with some cool things, I see. Already 11 months, I know, right? Maybe they celebrate the start of the rainy season. So Chubb said that, so we'll make sure that we remember that one. In fact, we'll get that in now. Oh, so we kind of already had that here, a monsoon festival when a storm brings lots of rain. We could also go another branch. I could see us having a few ideas for what rain celebrations could be, but there definitely needs to be one because it's called Raindrop Chronicles and the whole currency is based on rainfall. So there's definitely going to be rain celebrations. Or has been rain celebrations. There was going to be a point in time when people started celebrating that and do it year by year, I guess, and that's been a thing. And some of these festivals might have been events that were celebrated in history and aren't as much celebrated in the present day. Some might be events that were celebrated by only certain cultures and only certain parts of the world. Some might be global. We'll all have to decide. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? I'm rambling on and I'm seeing peeps are giving me bitties. Thank you so much, Lady Rights and Dappy Cappy. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you guys. Let's have some hype in chat for those bitties, everybody. Thank you so much. Alright guys, so let's quickly catch up with chat. If you have a monsoon festival, could also have a post-monsoon one where everyone is like, we made it through. Yeah, so let's get our thoughts. Let's get all these thoughts. Post-monsoon festival. We made it through. Usually I write word for word what you guys suggest, so that I don't miss any core details. And Chubb said let's get that one in as well, that Chubb says. So celebrate the start of the rainy season. I think it's very likely we can have a super long messy list by the end of this, but we can get organised afterwards. We'll just get the ideas down first. Or at least a creative writing category. Yeah, I agree for sure. There needs to be a game development category, a creative writing category, or a world building one. But creative writing's probably good because that's less specific. The vernal equinox celebration of spring. Let's just get them all in. Even if I'm not 100% sure of the context of some of them, I can always give them a Google after to really learn more. Mine is the same first day of spring, is the first day of the year. Yeah, it makes way more sense, doesn't it? Is it how much tidier is it to have like spring be the first part of the year and then end it with the cold winter? It feels more fitting to have like winter like close a year, and then the nice new fresh spring start a year. I started the new year in my world with the first month of spring. You did as well? Yeah, everybody's got the right way of thinking, I say. Just makes way more sense. Changing of the seasons is always a popular festival. Oh, I forgot to suggest a name list in Discord. Yeah, if you want to, Matt, feel free to. I mean, we've got some months down, some names, and although I'm happy with them, you know, they're not 100% set in stone, but it's, you know, they're definitely okay and work together well. But still, any thoughts, pop them in the Discord. Maybe they celebrate the first person who discovered the rain was special. Yeah, let's get them in. I'll try and stick all the rain related ones together. That's a good idea, actually. Celebration for the first person who discovered rain was special, because there's going to be a lot of different types. In fact, I'm going to just actually make a section for different types of festivals. So celebrating important people is definitely one, as Chubb just said. That would be an important person who discovered rain, I guess. And when they discovered it. Fertility harvest, remembering. Oh yes, remembering the dead. That is a really good one, specifically for Lakefall as well, because the actual village of Lakefall has a graveyard there around a tree, and there's people that have died that are clearly important because it's a very prominent graveyard in the village as well. So it only makes sense that there'd be some kind of festival for them as well. And we have a Harvest and Founding Festival, funnily enough, listed here, which would definitely make sense with the setting of Lakefall too. Rainbow Festival, a week where they celebrate rainbows and the hope they bring. Yeah, we haven't like 100% set in stone what the weather is like aside from rain in this world, but I think it's a good idea to get all thoughts down to because at some point we'll probably have a weather world building stream and we'll really be able to decide, and it's good to have the ideas out. And I think it's good to have wholesome festivals as well. Like there's obviously going to be very sad, tragic festivals like that one. And then there'll be really fun ones as well and wholesome ones. I spy a cute plushie. Yeah, my mascot. He's adorable, isn't he? And yeah, if they want rain, it could include like rain dances or other calling of the rains. Rain dances, that's an interesting one. Thanks guys for all the ideas. They're all coming in quick and fast. Rainbow Festival sounds fun. I don't remember what I wrote it for, but there's an event in one of my cities where folks make stained glass art at different skill levels for a competition that are then auctioned off to put funds towards a charity. That sounds really cool. It's interesting to see what others come up with for their stuff as well, that's for sure. Oh, nice, like how New Year used to be in April in some calendars. Yeah, it works, doesn't it? I was like, when I read about that's how the Romans did it, I was like, yeah, why didn't it stay that way? Makes sense. I mean, that would mean, well, when would Christmas be in this calendar? February then, or would it still be in December? I guess it would make sense to be then. But we'd probably have our own version of Christmas in this world, but it wouldn't be called Christmas. It would have its own name, but it would still be the gift-giving festival, I'd guess. We'd have our own kind of gift-giving festival. I mean, I could see going from the longest night going to the longest day, since in some worlds don't have hard this season starts on this day. And birthdays of current rulers. Yeah, that's birthdays is another one as well. Day of birth. And that's generally for everybody, important people or just every ordinary person in the world. Days of mourning, remembering the dead, and well, we don't have to put that bit. We will try not to make it too wordy. We'll just say wedding. Yeah, how do people celebrate romance in this world? That's another thing too, because we are going to have a romance system. So I was thinking when mourning came to mind and funerals, then obviously the opposite, weddings. And then birthdays. We'll put birthdays a bit easier. And then there's Christmas and gift giving, and also Halloween. And I can see us having our own versions of these festivals potentially. Dressing up. Catch up with chat, and maybe when it snows I celebrate the white raindrops or something. Yeah, snow in this world is interesting because we haven't even talked about snow, storms, rainbows, or any kind of weather at all. So it's definitely going to be a world building topic for discussion, that's for sure, at some point. Yeah, and just say whatever, Chubbed, and anybody else, totally. Any thoughts, any random ideas could lead somewhere, you never know. Even if we don't completely go with that exact idea, it could sort of get, the ideas flowing for other things potentially. That reminds me, a crafting festival, a music festival, and an art festival. Good idea. Crafting, music, and art. You gotta celebrate the arts. Can't be forgotten. In Poland, you celebrate the name day instead of birthday. That's a thought. Yeah, let's put birthday and name day. There. So it depends what we want to call it, I guess, and I think the more unique from planet Earth the better, and not using the same terms as planet Earth is good, as long as it's recognizable, and maybe it's elsewhere in cultures on our planet. It could be great to get inspired by less common naming terms like name day. Because I think it actually sounds good like that. I think Game of Thrones used that one as well, from what I remember. Parents and Grandparents Day, yeah, like Mother's and Father's Day and that. Why isn't there a Children's Day? Snowmen could be so magical. Yeah, indeed. And there's still a question mark whether we're gonna like fully embrace seasons in this world, simply because different parts of the world are gonna have their own aesthetic. Like, we've actually got an area in the north of the world that is gonna be the snow part of the world that we'll go and visit in a future episode, and then we got the desert further to the west. So we might want to like not go like completely cold in Everbloom, because it won't make it as magical when we get to the snow area then, if we've already seen winter in the game. So there's still a question mark whether we want to have seasons, like embrace them fully, because you know, it would make it less of a contrast when we visit the new places, and they'd be less distinct. But we definitely have in seasons, that's for sure, because it's almost very difficult not to, because they very tidily separate parts of the year and segment them, and it's a really good way of doing that, splitting the year up. But aesthetic wise, you know, there might not be too drastic. You know, they could be, but there might not be. Something I've not decided yet. It's whatever's going to work best for the game. You know, we might decide when it comes to snow-related festivals, if we might decide we'll have those ones in the snow area specifically, if that's what we do. Snowmen. Let's just put snowmen with the snow one. Lots of snowmen. We'll put that. Harvest Day. Yes, we've got a harvest one here. So harvest. In fact, let's separate them. So Harvest Day and Founding Festival. Like the founding of a village or founding of a settlement, I guess. The Pina Festival, yeah, we understood it from Japan. I'd love us to have our own wacky festival, though, even though we weren't the Pina one. We can think of something just as wacky, I'm sure. Feast Day or Sharing Day, where people who have give to those with less, like a sort of Thanksgiving or similar. Feast Day, Sharing Day. Would they be two separate events? That's something I'm wondering as well, because a feast day could also be something where people are allowed to consume and be greedy for a day as well. Where Shame Day, it could be the opposite, where you do it more for other people rather than yourself. Cool. There is a Children's Day in Japan. Oh, there is. That's really cute. You know what? We're going to add Children's to the Mother's Father's Day thing. There should be a Children's Day here too, don't you reckon? Can't leave them out. Are people here named at birth, or do they choose a name after they begin talking? Good point, you know. It's very easy to get very tied in with Planet Earth's way of doing things. But, you know, we could, imagine if citizens named themselves or something like that, or the parents did. There's all sorts of things we could do to give a unique twist to the world. So feel free to throw thoughts out there, because it could be interesting. Are people named at birth? Put that there so we don't forget. Bathing day for when it's warm enough to go swimming in the lake. Yeah. I'll put that twice. Silly me. Bathing day. And now some on this list are going to definitely be very specific to like fall and Everbloom, which is great because it's more relevant for us to think about festivals and things that they do in that town, as that's our episode 1 part of the game and what we're working on now. But you know, if we come up with other non-specific to like fall as well, that's great too, because it's fun to just think of anything really. And let's put when it's warm enough to go swimming in the lake. And I imagine bathing day, like even if we have Everbloom be consistently that same summer colour palette throughout the year, even in the winter, say, I imagine something like bathing day still would be during the gold season, because of course it would be. But I'd say Everbloom in itself has quite a warm climate throughout the year. It might be slightly chillier in the blue season, but people live on hammocks, sleep on hammocks in that place. And the climate is generally quite warm, unlike the snow area. Or you could do a day that I think has some historical roots, a day where poor and rich trade places. That's quite an interesting one. A day where poor and rich change places. So yeah, we should get that down in the types, historical events as well, because we haven't got that one listed here yet. Or they could have frozen rain, kind of like what we have in southern US, frozen rain. Where's our snow section? Because we can add that there. Raindrop frozen rain celebration for when it snows. Sharing a day sounds similar to Christmas. Yeah, it could be, I guess. I guess it depends, because Christmas could be for giving loved ones presents and celebrating with your families, whereas sharing day might be for anybody, that even they don't necessarily have to be your family. It could just be people who are poor. So there could be a difference. Would a spooky stuff festival be separate from a day for the dead? I would say we've got Halloween here, and that's a dressing up festival, and that could be considered spooky day. But a dressing up festival doesn't all have to just be spooky either, right? We could have a dressing up festival that's completely a different theme in our world for all we know. But I'll put spooky there just because usually that has got the connections to Halloween in general. And we've got a day for the dead, but that's more in like a remembrance of the dead, like sort of funeral or mourning or anniversary for when someone's died, I guess. But if there's any other thoughts on how to give things like that a twist, feel free to say, folks. Like they name themselves, that's what, yeah, I thought it was worth adding because it was an interesting thought that Met had, and I'm kind of a fan of having some subtle differences in our world to our way of life here. If it works with, you know, and there's not going to be any plot holes. Sharing day sounds a bit like the holiday I made for a town who celebrated a hero I wrote for the last World Anvil Challenge. The village fasts for 3 days gathering supplies from people willing to donate and celebrate with a large feast on the night of a birthday to share with the whole town. Yeah, the feast day could definitely connect with sharing day for sure. And I can imagine that working as well. But you know what's interesting about the feast day? It could also be a festival of complete gluttony, a bit like Easter, and where you like overload yourself on chocolate, and it be a complete binge eating fest where you're sort of encouraged to do that. It could be that as well, where it's completely selfish, where you just pig out and it's not about giving food to other people, it's just about having it all yourself. So I'm going to put that there too, just because could be a separate thing in itself, right? But it could connect in some way to a sharing day too, where there's another sort of feast, but a good, nice, kind feast, not a pigging out one. And specific to Late Fall Area Arbor Day, celebrating the trees. Yeah, I feel we'll eventually have to make a bullet point, I think, where we have Lake Fall and Everbloom specific ones. In fact, I'm going to do that now, because anything that's specific to those, I feel will be more organised if we put them together. Have we got any others here that could be more Everbloom focused? Probably the Harvest Day and the Founding Festival, because we know that Lake Fall got founded by they stole it, they conquered it from the reptiles, so that could kind of link to the Founding Festival. Celebrating the end of a big war, that would be definitely Lake Fall and Everbloom specific festivals, because there has been versus the reptiles, and also the Remembering the Dead. I'm going to copy that section and put that there too, because there is a graveyard in Lake Fall. And Van suggested the Celebrating Trees. And just anyone new coming in the stream, if you want to know more about Lake Fall and Everbloom, it's a forest, waterfall. The screenshots are on the website. It's the place that we're in right now in the very start of the game. So if you're intrigued to see more, there's trailers and screenshots on the website, but they will be getting a glow up soon, so you know, folks, those screenshots are going to be very old eventually. They definitely need a glow up, and that's what I'm in the process of working on as well. Coming of Age Day, when they celebrate when children become adults and usher in a new group of adults like they do in Japan. Awesome. And we could put that in the Lake Fall section, but we could also put it here too, because some events will be celebrated all around the world, right? So they can go up here. When children become adults, and I'll put in brackets like Japan, so we have something a reference to be inspired by. Cosplay Day, lol. Should you dare me to put that after the dressing up? God's Day, when the gods are given offerings and prayers to the gods. Stories about the gods are related to the youth, and plays about how the gods are performed. Yeah, let's get that one in too. God's Day. We haven't even a chance to look at these articles yet about all the wacky festivals we can be inspired by, because you guys are being super creative and coming up with so many things yourselves. have the best community. The day when the gods are given offerings and prayers to the gods. Stories about the gods. Related to the youth, and plays about the gods are performed. I'm very likely going to write word for word what you guys say when I add these bullet points, because you know, if I just write bits, I could be missing vital information when I read through them all later. Need to head out and get something to eat. See you later. You take care, Lethan, and thank you again so much for that raid. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for taking part in the stream and coming up with some cool ideas. A day celebrating the 3 in the middle. What's the 3 in the middle? Sorry, I'm a massive noob. I'm intrigued though. I'm going to feel like an idiot probably when Kung tells me. And have you got Valentine's Day type of day? Oh, good one. We haven't even got that one here. A day for lovers. Oh, and in fact, that could go here after the weddings. Romance day for lovers, and I know Valentine's Day has nothing to do with weddings, but I'm seeing it all as a category related to love, and obviously we can have some separate festivals related to love potentially. So let's add that here as well. Valentine's Day, that is unique to this world. A version of Valentine's Day that is unique to this world, just so we know that we probably won't call it Valentine's Day and we'll give it a unique twist. And as I was saying, we need to definitely have that sort of festival, because we're going to have a romance system in our game, and it only makes sense that we have something for that. And who knows, because we've changed the months around now, February is now the last month of the year, because it's the last of the blue portion of the blue part of the year. It made no sense to have blue at the end and blue at the start, so we've started the year with March, spring. So technically, obviously, Valentine's Day is in February now, but it would make more sense for the Christmas season, right, to be here now. But there's some thoughts about where we could switch Valentine's Day. We could always have Valentine's Day in the autumn or the summer if we wanted in our world. We could always have a think. Catch up with chat. Wow, there's way more thoughts coming up. I'm so behind, but don't be afraid of suggesting chat. Just because I'm behind with chat, feel free to say more, because I will catch up. Hi Dava, how are you doing? The gods only get offerings and prayers one day a year. No wonder rain is rare enough to be a commodity. Yeah. And King's Day, celebrating the ruler's birthday. So yeah, we've got birthdays and name days here. So these bullet points are a chance to get specific, right? So we can add that here. King's Day, celebrating the ruler's birthday. Well, that could just be the day for giving them a big coordinated event. Which day was that one? Just so I remember. And I meant celebrating the big 3 in the middle specifically, but it's just an idea. What's the big 3? I'm so confused with what the big 3 is. Is that a common thing? I've completely lost the plot on what the big 3 even is. Trey Torres dead because he clearly deserves it. LOL. Should you dare me? He would have probably invented that day for himself. And for those that don't know who Trey Torres is the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of our world. I'm listening with half an ear, so I might have missed if you clarified something that sorry to go. No worry, Kung, it's fine. Don't worry, it's me. I'm the one getting confused and not knowing what things are. Day for appreciate some particular nature spirit library day for pets. Okay, let's get those in. a day for celebrating Father Maple. I doubt there'd ever be such a thing, but I think there'd be a thing for celebrating the tree in the centre of Lakeville for sure. And that could sort of connect with the idea we had here with the celebrating the trees, I suppose. Library day, would that be like a book day? Day for pets. Oh, we had one here that was pet themed. Where is it? Thanking dogs or another creature for being their friends. Pet day. You know, I've always wondered why we've got a Mother's and Father's Day, and I mentioned, you know, there should be a Children's Day as well, but there should be a Pets Day too. How on earth is there not a pet day? Is there in other countries? Because there isn't here. Pet Day would be the most wholesome festival ever. We gotta have a pet day. Absolutely no doubt. The best day of the year. Purple Reptile Day, they are important, lol. Spyro the Dragon Day, Chub Cheeks. It's funny, Chub, because I was looking through some old streams. I was watching some last night because I'm going through the VODs on YouTube to make sure they're all named, and specifically recently, and I come up with some thoughts you had months ago about your character. When you take his helmet off, he's got another helmet underneath, and then, you know, at some point you take his helmet off and he's actually just a human with wings and face paint, fake wings and face paint on. I thought they were funny, and it was that's not him, that's just his body double. There's some funny ideas with that helmet. We could get really wacky with what he looks like under that helmet for jokes. Japan also has White Day for romance. Valentine's is for women to give chocolates, and White Day is for men to reciprocate feeling a month later. It's an interesting concept. Interesting. So I'm going to put, where is the Valentine's Day? In brackets, I'm going to put research or read up about White Day in Japan. To see what that's all about. Fairies could celebrate Lifting Day, the day their city listed in time. That's really cool. You know, it's actually really cool that you're thinking of other races as well, and days that that would be celebrated specific to other races. So I'm actually gonna specific to races. Species and races. So, Chub, any reptile thoughts, you know, feel free to say, because I'm sure reptiles will have their own as well. So fairies, Lifting Day, the day their city lifted into the sky. I meant the tree in the middle of Lakeville. Oh, you meant that one. Oh, see what I mean? I'm a silly bit sometimes. I don't I was thinking, is it an actual festival in the real world that I didn't know about? But yes, now you mention that, let's get that one in. So we've got one for the trees, but let's have one specifically for the big tree. The large Lakeville tree. Wicked Sketchman, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. My character will totally have invented Hamster's Day and will make the celebration compulsory amongst its millions. LOL. Yeah, Pet Day. So that would definitely be branch off Pet Day. Where's our Pet Day section? Bocco would demand a hamster day and make it compulsory amongst his minions, because he's going to have a hamster mount, so that's going to be awesome. Much more cool than a horse mount, right? This is so much fun. It is, isn't it? It's so creative. It's like really is an opportunity to create whatever we want. So this is why world building is fun, because we can do whatever we want. And Forgiveness Day, the day when people put aside their grudges, feuds, arguments, hate. It is said that those who can fully let go of these things honestly with their hearts upon this day will be blessed by the sun with a prosperous. That's really, really cool, really interesting. And it's kind of, I suppose in a way, it's similar to Thanksgiving, where you thank people, but it's a twist on Thanksgiving. It's doing it for forgiveness instead. So I like it. It's kind of unique. Does anything like that exist on planet Earth? I'm curious if there is any cultures that do anything like that. I'm going to actually copy word for word what you said, just because it's quite long, and also because it would take me forever to type. So there we go. Cool. We're actually getting a hamster tomorrow, Chub Cheeks. Chub Cheeks, have you ever played the newest King's Quest game? Because there's a hamster mount in that game, and I played it recently, and I was like, oh my god, it's the hamster mount that's going to be in Raindrop Chronicles. And I thought about you, and I thought you like totally be obsessed with that character. There's an actual hamster man. Who would have thought that such a thing would exist? But I hope that yeah, Kung, I want to see a hamster when you get it. If you take some pictures, feel free to share them on the Adorable Pets channel if you'd like to. Okay, so we've got some really good ones, guys. It's a little bit unorganised in this first section, but we'll tidy it up over time, and I'll put them into categories gradually. So we get in there. Any more thoughts, feel free to say. But in the meantime, we are going to go browsing the internet and seeing what other wacky festivals around the world to help inspire us all. This might help us come up with some even more ideas. So we got to the Peanut Festival in Japan. That's the first thing that we read. So this is how weird festivals can get, obviously. And we're not going to go that far in Raindrop Chronicles, but we could have a weird symbol of our own that's just completely bonkers that people celebrate if we want. The options there. And what was this one? This was just about Lord of the Rings. People celebrating Lord of the Rings. We're going to have to think of popular culture and celebrities in our world, as well, at some point. And I think that is on our list. We do have literature and short plays, music, theatre, celebrities. I mean, obviously you've got the government and important people and historical figures, which is kind of linked to that, but this is kind of more people in the entertainment industry, which would probably link with these two above. Or people that have won tournaments, like special fight tournaments, and have like some sort of glory and fame from what they've done. It's not so much the people in politics or people who are religious figures, but people who are just separate from that but still famous. I thought I'd add that to the list because that inspired me a bit when I read that. A fire and Viking festival. It makes you travel to Shetland in the depths of winter. The festival takes place every year on the last Tuesday of January, when the days are a little longer than 7 hours and the weather can be treacherous. If that was not close enough, you will encounter hundreds of men in fancy dress roaming the streets of the largest town Close to 1,000 men dress up for the occasion and carry huge torches around the city, which they use to burn a purpose-built wooden galley. They are split up in groups or squads, and each squad has a theme. The main squad follows the year's leader, the Jarl, and gets dressed up as Vikings. Interesting. We in the UK have like a bonfire night as well. Which takes place in November. I remember I gave the hamster a spur of the moment name sometime last year. It was like Bartholomew or something. Let's write that down. My gosh, we're getting quite a few pages here, so it's hard to find. And we says he might start just like a normal small hamster, and you actually put a spell on him that makes him big. I think that's written somewhere. And turns him into a mount. Maybe there is a form of animal, like a hamster in this world, because this is on the wildlife section now. I'm sort of talking a bit about that, but maybe there is a type of animal that's a hamster, but we give it a different name in the world of Raindrop Chronicles, and that's who Bartholomew is. He's one of those creatures, and they wander about the lands as any like other rodents do. Maybe they're prey or food for some kinds of people, perhaps. But Chubcheeks, his character, loves these creatures, and that's kind of his wholesome side. So although he's a villain, he has this love for these animals, especially Bartholomew, and that's what makes him wholesome. Every villain has a side to them that's wholesome deep down, and that's his. And everybody else just eats them. How dare they? If reptiles are hatched from eggs, birth date should be called hatch day or something. Oh, interesting. Let's get that in the reptile specific section. Catch up with the rest of chat as well and see what you guys are saying. Master Emerald says, I've not been to the Lord of the Rings that is talking about, but I did go to a couple of times to a local small one. Very medieval fair style. Lots of dress up and display lights. Yeah, interesting. So when I read about the Lord of the Rings, obviously Raindrop Chronicle isn't going to have Lord of the Rings, but it could have its own popular fandom for another kind of series or form of pop culture that could be celebrated. So I think it's worth adding to the list a day where a form of fandom pop culture is celebrated, and I'll put in brackets inspired by Lord of the Rings Festival. We'll have our own famous book series or film series that people are obsessed with in our world. You know, they need to get their entertainment somehow, and or theatre series, because we don't know if TV is a thing in this one, so it might be theatre or play instead of film. That would be cool. And before we read the rest of chat, let's get in the reptiles. Birthday could be, well, we'll put in name day, because we might go in name day instead of birthday. Could be called hatch day. Oops. Considering they come from eggs. Okay, which is true. I think it's pretty much established that reptiles in this world will have been born from eggs. Sunday, a day where adventures and leaders are celebrated. Tales are told of great adventures that have changed the course of history, held on the longest day of the year, and the moon day is the opposite day. Good idea, because obviously those two, the sun and moon, are very prominent symbols in this world, especially because we're now basing our calendar on the sun, and the foreshadowing that we've given of them, the fact that they're probably greatly going to link to our pantheon and the whole gods and stars section too, because the gods are the stars. So I'm all for that. That sounds really cool, and we'll get that in too. So and I'd imagine Sunday would be celebrated in the summer, well, longest day of the year, and then the opposite for Moon Day, that would be in the blue part of the seasons, and the gold one for sun. Day where adventurers and leaders are celebrated. Copy and paste it like this because it's going to be a bit easier. So tales are told of great adventures that have been changed through the course of history, held on the longest day of the year. Interesting. Okay, so Moon Day. And what's the difference with this one? How does it contrast? Let's see. Day where companions and those who support others to greatness celebrate. These are the people who rarely get the prominence of the heroes, but what is a hero without a companion, held on the longest night? Oh, interesting then. So that's about the people who are less talked about. This is going to link really well with when we have our important people stream. So just so you know, folks, because that's one of the next things on our list. These sections, the pantheon, the gods, and historical important figures, I think that's what we're going to do next week. We'll probably stop discussing those things. So be prepared, folks, for that one. That will be fun. And the calendar, we'll slowly flesh that out over time, and same as the festivals as well. And we'll probably start thinking of the history and timeline of Lightfall and Everbloom, and start filling in more about the war and the conflict and the founding of Lightfall after that. So we'll probably move on to that the following week, because it's going to be a lot easier to write about these particular things once we've had a good think about these things, because we'll have some ideas of important figures and history for those. And same, we're coming up with events and festivals today, and that I'm hoping as well will set have some ideas for Lightfall's history as well from that. Okay, so we got those in, that's good. So I think I said maybe someone tried to cast a spell on me and my armour deflects the spell and it mutated the hamster. Yeah, so that's funny, because any chance for a bit of comic relief and humour is great. So I'd love to have a really bonkers reason for why that hamster got big. So that's a good one. I love Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, yeah. I want to do a Lord of the Rings marathon at some point and watch it, but the films are so long. But that's no excuse. By the way, it might not have been Bartholomew. I worry that in your notes now the hamster has two different names. Well, if I look back through my notes and I see he's got a different name, I'll just ask you which one you'd prefer it to be. But we'll keep it as Bartholomew for now. But if I see there's another name there, I'll let you know. Sunday for Mario, Moon Day for Luigi. Yeah, it's funny because we've already got this. We get in this opposition, this contrast now, aren't we? These polar opposites. And I think it's a really interesting thing because it's already been foreshadowed by the barrels when they talked about the sun and moon it briefly in the flashbacks. So it's pretty cool that it's going to be a prominent thing, and you know, it's going to be cool to sort of shape the religions and gods around it as well. One of the gods is going to be called Chub, right? God of fertility. Maybe because your character's called Bocco now, so Chub's available for something else potentially. Maybe there is a quest for the hero in regards to his companions on Moon Day. Or maybe there is a specific quest for the hero on the Sunday, so he or she learns more about being a hero. Right, so let's get that in brackets for those, so that I don't forget. Oh, what are we doing here? We're on TV tropes all of a sudden. There we go. That's good. I like, you know, sort of bringing it into the quests, because that's what this is all about. Like, a lot of this world building we do, you know, a big percentage of it, 78% of it might not even see the light of day in the game. But, you know, when it's there's always a chance to, like, cleverly insert it into the world and make it part of the story that's happening, or part of the NPC's tales. And that's always fun. But no matter what, it's always great for us to have the knowledge of the world, because then the world in general feels more real as we build it, because we know we've built this whole world. Maybe there's a bit of crash on Sunday, so it's more about being a hero. Cool. I want to add that as in our dictionary. It should be an actual word. You know, it's funny how it's called Sunday, like the actual day, Sunday, right? And Moon Day sounds like Monday. It's going to be, and again, we're going on to days of the week here. We still don't know what our days of the week are going to be called, and we could go in any direction for those days of the week. We could make them be named after the gods. That's what we've done on planet Earth, I think, with our days. I think Thursday was named after Thor, so I heard, god of thunder. And same with all the other days of the week. So we could always go that direction with days of the week in this world, which is why it's blank right now, because we haven't named our gods. But you know, we'll think about it, because nothing's set in stone just yet. We could have another idea what they could be named, but as long as it connects and it's cohesive, and it, you know, with what we're building, then that's the main thing, I feel. They are worth doing a marathon on. Sandwich day for the sandwich factory. Oh, interesting. And that could be seen as a binging day, right? Like, we've got the feast day, binge eating, Easter here. And we wouldn't have an Easter in this world. Obviously, we'd have our own version of Easter with our own binge eating and food that we enjoy, snacks that we enjoy. And the sandwiches could definitely be one. Sandwich day. For the sandwich factory. Now, like, the swamp itself, I was pretty set on it being kind of abandoned and like deserted, because it definitely gave those dark, creepy vibes, and I love the idea of having a creepy sort of aesthetic for a certain part of the world, and that sort of fit with an abandoned theme park actually. But I'm kind of thinking an NPC could be there trying to bring it to life and make it popular and like a sort of tourist destination, and it could be a sort of present day goal that the NPC's doing, and maybe it really kicks off and the sandwich factory becomes popular and it starts getting populated again. That would be an interesting quest to sort of make it populated, but that's another thought for another time. But I like the sandwich factory. Oh, in Poland they have a day where they throw water on each other. Oh, that's a fun one. And that could be specific to like fall in Everbloom as well. Because we got the big lakes here, and water is definitely a thing in Lakefall. And if it isn't Lakefall, it could be the beach, because there's also a beach part of the world, which is probably more of a tourist destination. But I think it has a place there, so I'll stick it there for now. Day where there's a communal meeting between leaders as an affirmation of peace. That's a cool one as well. Where shall we fit that one? Probably here, next to the Traitorio's Day. Okay. Wet Monday, yeah, let's say wet something. Wet blank day. Or wet question mark day, because we haven't named our days yet. Sunday was named after the sun and Monday was named after the moon. Oh, in actual planet Earth it was? Yeah. I know that Thursday was named after, like, Thor and Thunder. I read that, but it totally makes sense that it would be named after him because it sounds so much like it. We could have that as well. Saturday was named after Saturn, yeah? Maybe a celebration at the beach where people watch whales or mermaids breach the water in some migration. Yeah, let's get that in as well. So we could even have a section here that's specific to locations. And we've already kind of got that with the city in the sky. That could generally be specific to that location. We'll say other locations, because other locations that aren't Lakefall and Everbloom. So basically what Beth just said. Let's get that one in. Oh, is the factory part of the carnival or hidden beneath it? I'd say they're probably going to be in the same zone. So the carnival and the sandwich factory kind of come hand in hand. And where they're both probably abandoned and creepy. And like, I like the idea of them being abandoned simply because it's an option to really explore a creepy zone and uncover lots of secrets. And there's just something appealing about that. And exploring some mysterious place that you're not meant to be in. But I also see that there's a lot of promise in making it populated and a tourist attraction potentially too, which is why it can be both. It can start off as abandoned and become populated afterwards, because the world of Raindrop Chronicles is going to evolve, right? What it is in early or mid game isn't what it's going to be by end game. The government could be completely different by end game. The characters, the NPCs you've met will have gone on character arcs and will be completely different. Your relationship with Carol will be different. You know, there's a lot of evolving, a lot of changing. That's the whole point in the branching paths and stuff. So it's nice that places in the world change as well, right? And Everbloom Forest and Lakefall in itself will change. The fruits could be living in Lakefall by the end of episode 1 instead of the humans, which is really funny because Vanderleer came up with a really funny day that the fruits name themselves after the months. So new blue, full blue and old blue would be new blueberry, full blueberry and old blueberry, but it's only in their minds the months are called that. Maybe when they're living in Lakeful, there's a news clipping or something on the wall, and it's you see it's an Easter egg, you look at it and it's got 23rd new blueberry is the day or something, or one of the others. And because there's 4, it fits, because Apple would have got killed off sadly, but there'd still be 4 left. Because we came up with a plot, didn't we, recently, where we thought it was perfect for Apple to get murdered by Father Maple at some point in the story, if you'd kept them alive, that is, of course, in that branch. So we probably should have some elves and fairies holidays too. Yeah, we should, for sure. Every species should have their own celebrated festivals. It only makes sense. So that's definitely why I'm thinking it's a good idea to have bullet points here for them. I mean, like I said, we don't have to fully think about that too thoroughly just yet. It's a long ongoing thing, because a lot of the races we're not going to properly get to know until later on in the saga. But there's going to be occasions where you're going to meet a fairy NPC and an elf NPC in episode 1. There's going to be a few fairies living in Everbloom Forest, and there's going to be some elves living in Everbloom Forest. So in passing, they might mention things that are unique to their culture. Give a bit of foreshadowing to a future episode where we're going to get more into detail about certain things. So that's why, it's smart to still think about it, for sure. So if anyone's got any thoughts, feel free to say. Do reptiles shed their skin in this world, or is that too creepy? Options are always there, nothing's set in stone just yet about the reptiles, because we haven't really thoroughly had chance to build their stories yet, because the cave section of the game is where we're going to meet the reptiles for the first time, and that's not going to be until main quest 4 of episode 1, and we're probably not going to get to that part of the content until maybe late summer, autumn time of this year with the story. So there's going to be a point in time when we're really going to start setting in stone things with the reptiles. But things are still, up for brainstorming right now, and just ideas getting thrown about for them is fine. But we do have ideas, like the idea for them being born from eggs, for example, was definitely a popular one that we sort of latched on to. The idea of them having their wings and tails chopped off for punishment was another one that we was keen on. So plenty of opportunities there. I forget, do the desert reptiles have minds? Reptiles could have a day for mine and cave spirits, maybe. I mean, the desert in itself will probably have underground spots, because we did talk about underground spots, didn't we? Some parts of the world will have caves, mines, in like creepy little nooks and crannies underground. So there's anything's possible really when we haven't built the set, that when we haven't done the tile set for it yet. There's always a possibility until it's set in stone and until we start that episode. So a day for mines. Like we have reptiles living in the caves of Everbloom as well, so we could always consider what their way of life is in those caves as well, because that's going to definitely become part of the story in main quest 4, especially if what they do in those caves is completely different to what the humans have made out for them to be doing, because we said there's probably going to be a bunch of false lies and twisted truths and rumours. That's what it's called, Roots and Rumours. There's going to be a bunch of stuff made up about them. Like, we're going to probably hear from the humans while we're in Lakefall what the reptiles are like, and they're going to be made out to be really scary beasts, monsters, not even human maybe by these people. But then when we finally go into the caves, we're going to realise things are very different from what we were told. But, you know, we're not going to completely make the reptiles victims and the humans mean or bullies or anything. It's not black and white, and in some ways maybe the reptiles have done wrong and the humans are treated bad too. It's kind of one of those situations where no one or nothing is perfect and there's no good or evil race. Definitely not. And then the cave the reptiles are hiding in Everbloom could said to be under their protection. Oh, what do you mean by under their protection? I'm intrigued. If there's any thoughts, feel free to expand, because I'd get them down, because it could really be. It could help for thinking of a story there as well. Hi Rex, how are you doing? It's good to see you, Carla Thompson. We are coming up with very quirky festivals today. We're making a big list of types of holidays and festivals for the world, and although a lot of them are inspired by real life and Planet Earth festival events, which is what we've put here, we want to kind of add our own unique twist on them as well. So we're sort of just bullet pointing any funny, bizarre, interesting, intriguing ideas for holidays people could celebrate in this world. We got some that are specific to Lakefall and Everbloom as well, specific to other species and races and other locations too. So we just game whatever down, no matter how random it is, right? Hey fellow reptile, yeah. Just trying to think what reptiles would celebrate. If reptile loses its tail, it could grow back if they are similar to Earth reptiles. Yes, Chubb. Funnily enough, when we had this discussion about reptiles and our story suggested on streams, we agreed that the tails probably would grow back if they got chopped off, but the wings wouldn't. Once the wings are chopped off, that's it then, they're wingless forever. So it makes it even, the wings getting amputated is an even more severe punishment. Wings being chopped off are like the worst for a reptile, whereas a tail being chopped off is still bad, because it is, but it's not quite as bad because that tail can always still grow back over time. It's not completely over, they've not completely lost it. So we're so intrigued about that because it's quite dark and interesting for sure, and it's a good way to make the reptiles kind of vulnerable as well, and make us feel for them if that ever happens to any of them, which it probably will. Oh no, wingless, yeah. We even says in the cave we'll probably have a wingless reptile NPC and they can tell us their story about what happened to them. That'd be sad. A wingless and tailless reptile. Wingless. Poor reptile. So yes, that's definitely lore that we was attached to. And yeah, thinking about what they celebrate, what they do in the cave. Well, they're not going to just sit there all day, are they? I'm sure that they do things. We know that they're keeping a vampire in their cave, though. A vampire is going to be in a cage or something, or locked up somewhere, and it could be that they want to eat the vampire. They could want to use it for another reason completely. We just don't know. But that vampire has to be there for plot reasons. It's a plot device, really, so that you as the player get the choice to potentially let that vampire free. But if you do let the vampire free, the fruits all use that vampire so that they can achieve their conquering ambitions. So in a way, you don't want to let the vampire free, especially if the fruits are alive, because they'll use that vampire for their own benefit, which could could give you the potential bad ending. It's not a bad ending though, because it's funny and awesome if the fruits populate like fall, in my opinion. But that's the ending you'll get the fruits populating like fall at the end instead of the humans or reptile. And some people could view that as a bad ending because the fruits are the villains. But it's like you're almost in a way rewarded with a lot of humour by them. It's not entirely humour because people would have died because they'd have killed people to conquer the village, but it's going to be humorous seeing fruits run the village and work in the shops and have their own weird quirks and ways of life as they're living there. And is this human cutting off reptile wings, or is this a reptile on reptile punishment? I think it's a human on reptile punishment. Because I think we got to think of the relationship between reptiles and reptiles with each other, and I'd imagine they'd be quite solid, their bond, their community bond, and they might probably look after each other because the whole world's against them, right? The rest of the world's against them, especially humans. They're like really looked down as inferior. So if they're not going to look out for each other, who else is, right? Life would really suck for them if they hated each other too. So I kind of like the idea that the reptiles really having a close bond and caring about each other. We know that Rex's character cares about other reptiles anyway, and he's the leader. Well, he's the leader of the resistance, really. Chub could be seen as another superior in the reptile species, but in a different way to Rex. Chub is more about the power and strength, I guess, as a leader, whereas Rex is more about getting revenge for the things that have happened and protecting his people. That's like Planet of the Apes, but with fruits. And sorry for the random pop-up alert, but would take your kids to work day be doable with little sprite versions of the parents shadowing their parents as they manage the shops, guard castles, or engage in ship pirate activities? So Looking Glasses, how you do it so good too. Well, get that down. I think it's worth adding there because, there could be a city, a town that could really fit with something like that. Especially in a more civilized town. Okay, so where shall we? Have we got a section that's more work orientated that we can add that? We'll pop it here. How are you doing there, Looking Glasses? I hope you're well. Earlier, if there's any kind of cave spirit like a gnome or mermaid or it seems to favour reptiles who commune with them more, they could get a day. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious and intrigued. And I asked for more info because I was super intrigued by it. So let's find a spot for that. So specific to specific races. Okay, so a spirit. Now put the list of ideas in brackets. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Can always add a bit more if we want a bit more detail in that one. Add humans and cutting off reptile rings to the list of reasons that Bocco hates humans. Yeah, so for sure, it's very understandable why the reptiles would hate humans, and that's why we want to make sure that the story, we make the reptiles vulnerable too with the things they've gone through. They're not going to be painted as a bad guy. There's no bad and good race in this game. It's all shades of grey. They're just people. They're all just people living their own lives, and they've had their own conflicts. Each, you could easily side with any of them, or agree or disagree with any of them. It's all about perspective. Cat people could have a sports day where they play with a giant string. That's funny. So, felines. That's actually quite humorous. And we have the canines as well, so who knows, maybe there's something similar that they do. Okay, so we're doing quite well, and we've still got this massive list to look through, so let's have a look while you guys potentially come up with some things. How you doing? Just taking off what's left of the sleepiness. How you doing, Rose? I'm doing good. Looking at it, it's fun because we're coming up with like a mega list of ideas for festivals, because this calendar that we've been discussing this week will obviously need to be filled out with a bunch of special days, because it'd be a pretty boring calendar and if we didn't have that. So it's all very vague right now. We've just got a big bunch of lists. Nothing's organised, or we haven't assigned months or days to these things yet. But at some point in time we'll get more specific with it and set things in stone, and once we have, we'll put it on our little Bible, and it's going to be really helpful when we really start to populate the world and add dialogue and lots of little character stories and quests and bits and bobs. The world's going to feel much more real, having all this detail and background knowledge to it. So it's very exciting. I love doing this sort of thing on stream. What's this one? The fashion would fit the bill. Pre-Lent season in German-speaking countries. It's Catholic and Germanic tradition celebrating with feasted, including parades full of masked creatures and costumes. That's an interesting one. It's a bit like Halloween. Well, Halloween in how people dress up, but it's a different thing. It's more of a parade. Chase away the winter demons. That's cool. Yeah, now that we've got that, I'm thinking of we'll add another section here, another bullet point, alternative versions of Halloween, but not just Halloween. There's other common planet Earth festivals that we'll want alternative versions for too. Christmas, Valentine's Day, and maybe Easter as well, just in case we all come up with some really quirky things for these festivals, because we don't want to just have a carbon copy of Christmas or Halloween. We want to have a chance to be super creative about the ones that we have here, and reading what we just read was could be an interesting alternative Halloween, because being inspired by some quirky real life festivals throughout history can really help get some ideas going as well. And I agree, looking glasses, that's adorable. I think that's a really cool idea. GG, Matt. All for the anything that's charming and silly I'm all for it. Okay, so what was this? Dressing up as masked creatures to chase away winter demons. That was basically the heart of that one. And although it's different Halloween and it's not in autumn, it's in winter, it's kind of similar because it's a bit spooky themed and it's a dressing up themed holiday as well. So they celebrate that in Jan and Feb in this for this culture. Festivals always start with crowning of a prince and princess. We should probably add that it's a parade as well. For a parade. Not just dressing up and not doing anything. They actually have a parade doing it to chase away demons. Doesn't have to be demons, we can just have winter monsters. So we don't have to get too specific about what the creature type is. Take your kids to work that could be humorous or dark. An unpopular merchant may use their genuinely charming child to get more sales, or the child of a headsman may question the morality of what their parents done for a living. Yeah, let's get that in on that as well. To paste without formatting so we can avoid getting the black stuff. There we go. Awesome. It would be more concerning if the headsman child didn't question it, really. Yeah, all the morality things are really intriguing too. I love stuff like that. Parents feel the job needs to be done, isn't even? The child could feel differently and maybe even more disturbed. Yeah, and you know, this is why I love adding morality quests and things, because that's what really makes people decide what perspective they're on. And just what you guys have said has proved that you can get different perspectives with things like that. And that's why I'm all for that rather than black and white, good and evil, where I've never wanted to make the reptiles the evil race and the humans the good race, or vice versa. I've just wanted it to be a sort of thing that's all about your own perspective and own beliefs, and everybody's can be different. It's not black and white. And although, you know, I do think good and evil is important to some degree, I think you do need your chaotic evil villains too, because they really can shake up the world. And if everybody was a grey character, then it would be boring as well. You definitely need those chaotic evils. Oh, my tummy is rumbling. It was really fun and somewhat appropriate for kids. Just be sure they won't be terrified at the masked creatures. Oh wow, it is quite scary. So it's definitely. And what's this one? Grown men wrestling. Okay. Men flick lamb bones? That's horrible. Drunken horse racing. Drunken hamps mount racing. Can you imagine? Because we haven't really had a proper chat about the animals, creatures and wildlife of the world yet. We could have different mounts in this world, we don't have to be restricted to horses, but that's it funny. Competitors bring drink, racing their horses through the village. They need to be tied to their saddles to avoid falling off the horses. And the winner is the one that stays on their horse the longest, and they're drunk. That's quite quirky. I feel like something like that is worth adding to the list. Drunken horse ? Racing day. And we'll put in brackets C festival. Is that the inspiration for that one? Remarkably dangerous, yeah. It could be humorous, but also very bad as well. It's intriguing enough for me to be like, yeah, you know, without it's funny. Could be a humorous moment, and that's not nearly as bad as Sophie. It's better to have a nice spectrum to work with. It gives the viewer reader more to think about as well. Yeah, and I think those games stay with you the longest if they've really made you question things. And some people don't like it because it makes them feel uncomfortable to have themselves questioned. So they prefer things straightforward, where it's black and white, good, bad, happy ending, sad ending. But I'm kind of I'm all about the perspective. They're not necessarily a right and wrong. Sometimes it can be straightforward, it's pretty obvious what the good thing to do is or the bad thing, but not always. What's this? Annual celebration of Island Culture 2-week-long festival. What? Vault's competitors rowing across a volcano crater lake. That sounds dangerous. With a bunch of bananas around their neck and then swimming back across the lake. That's even more dangerous than the drunken horse racing. A festival that will assault your senses. Outrageous outfits, naked people. Wow, the game has suddenly become R-rated if we did that. I mean, we might have naked sprites. I mean, we haven't discussed really how far our romance scenes are gonna go. We don't know. The question is still up in the air. Thumping music, blah blah. You will forever be changed by your experience in the magical desert world. Yeah, I think we sort of had... Did we have a festival that was pretty bonkers? I can't remember if we wrote one down. I think we should have added to this section. We'll say... What should we call it? Well, actually, we won't add it to this because it can get a bit lengthy. We'll give it its own bullet point. Because I might want to read a bit more about that to see what it is exactly. I need food. An ice fishing festival in Korea. Takes place in a massive frozen river. This is a truly unique and slightly weird festival, and it was classified as one of the 7 wonders of winter, something that South Koreans are extremely proud of. The river where all the fun happens is covered with a 40 centimetre thick layer of ice and has now less than 10,000 drilled holes. Each visitor is allowed to catch up to 3 fish. Yeah, and I says we're not having fishing in Raindrop Chronicles because everybody does it. That's the reason. But it's interesting to see the weird and wacky ways of life and festivals people have, that's for sure. Because I'm reading through this article to get inspired so that we might come up with some really wacky things. Pardon me. Time to grab a bite now. My dinner's actually soon. It'll be straight after stream, which is a good thing because I've got no snacks left. They've all gone. I've only got chocolate bar left, but I refuse to eat it because it's too cute to eat. A mask festival. I want to see some really crazy ones come up, some truly bonkers ones. None of them have been truly bonkers yet on the list. It doesn't have to be bonkers, it could just be a little bit unusual and intriguing as well. You need to get more sourdough. I need some. Why do they do that to us? How are we supposed to consume chocolates which that are now? Because I could easily eat that right now if I wanted to, but it's so cute, that bear is, that I just feel guilty eating it. Eventually I eat it because I had one last year for Christmas and the year before. I get one every year. But it always takes me ages to finally eat it. But eventually I can't resist. I mean, it's a good festival idea, one where you thank the gods each year and ask them for a good harvest. But it's not weird. That's not a weird festival. That's just a normal one, right? Because these are meant to be weird festivals. That's what it's called. Absolutely wacky festivals around the world is the title. Go bad if you don't. Oh gosh, yeah, it'll go out of date. Better eat it tonight. If I have it now, I'll spoil my dinner. I'll definitely eat it this weekend. Day of the Dead. This is an intriguing one. What's this one about? The celebration of life and chance for families and friends to remember those that have passed. We sort of already have that one on our list. We've got it under the Everbloom. Celebrating the end. No, remembering the dead of those who passed during the war. Yeah. Oh, let me now, scary. Cheese festival. Ooh. It's a unique cheese that is often used in pasta dishes, but there's more to the story. Hid their large people that now outsiders hid their fruit in large holes in the ground to protect their supplies from invaders. There definitely needs to be a type of food that get really celebrated in this game, I think. Like, we should totally have not necessarily a cheese festival, but a cookie festival. I'm saying cookie festival because remember when we had the mega list of goals and desires, and back in around Christmas, everybody said cookies would be someone's goal, to make sure that the cookies were something. We had about 10 of them on the theme of cookies. So, we need a Tuesday. Yeah, it's whether we want to dedicate it to something unique to our game, and that's why I say cookies. I mean, but it doesn't have to be cookies. It could be literally anything. We could even end up having a poll because we can't decide because we're torn. So maybe we should add, well, we got a sandwich day right here, but we'll add another one. Another day to celebrate a certain type of snack. Cheese, cookies. If anyone thinks of any other snacks that we can add to the list, feel free to say and we'll add them. Oh, I missed what you said earlier. Naked Day, the day where everyone walks around in their true skins. Now, that is what you call a bonkers day. I'm actually gonna... I think that should fit with the Wild Festival. An outrageous and wild festival. Well, because the Africa Burn Festival that I read about just actually said that people walk naked. So funnily enough, we could totally take inspiration from that, where people walk around in their true skins. How do you spell outrageous? There we go. An outrageous festival or day. It doesn't have to be a festival, it can just be a day where people walk around in their true skins. I mean, it doesn't have to be outrageous, it depends on your perspective. Some people can think it's truly normal. People walk around naked in their true skins. I like it. Might bring about some interesting quests or storylines. And it's very memorable. The reason I like that is because it's memorable. Nobody is going to forget Naked Day, the game that made you do a quest related to Naked Day. That would stay with you for generations, right? I mean, it makes our game suddenly a lot. It's not like no longer PG. It never was going to be a PG game anyway. The game's going to have too many dark themes for that. And you know, you got to do something that stands out to make it things memorable, and that totally ticks the box for that. A Bat Appreciation Weekend for sure. That would definitely fall. Where's our animal section gone? Pet Day, thanking dogs or another creature. I'll put bats there. Hamsters only because that's what Bocco would demand. But it could literally, Pet Day could be a general thing where all creatures are celebrated, or there could be specific animal days for sure. And because we haven't really decided the wildlife of this world yet and their names, it's hard to be specific at this point in time. Because I imagine dogs and hamsters and all other animals that end up in this world will have their own specific name. We'll give them a unique name that's unique to Raindrop Chronicles, because it's a chance to be really creative and think of our own names for creatures, like chocobos and mogs in Final Fantasy. It's really cute how they give their creatures unique names. It makes the game even more unique and amusing and charming. So eventually we're going to have a wildlife stream where we come up with cute names for animals. And I'm feeling we should have that when we get into our battle system stuff, because that will come hand in hand. We'll get back into that, and we'll start thinking about creatures that will be fitting to have around the forest. And then naturally we'll be thinking of names for them and other wildlife around the forest as well, the friendly non-aggro creatures as well. We'll want to think about them too. So it'll probably do that once we get back into that the battle and monster side of things in the game, which will be after scene work. Where were we? Where was Naked Day? I forgot where we were there. Okay, there we go. A Sweets and Savoury Day. So we'll title it that. So it's a bit like Easter. I see that this could definitely be a sort of Easter inspired thing. So I'm going to copy and paste that to the Easter section. Maybe we can have a meaning behind it for why we enjoy that specific snack as well. With some NPCs putting too much thought into it, for every person born there is the perfect cookie. I hope you find yours, my friend. Oh, that's cute. Let's put that. And cookies stood out to me because we'll put random NPC just so we know who's saying it, what the context is. Cookies was one that stuck out to me simply because there was a point during stream where everybody was suggesting cookie ideas, so that's why that one's there. But it doesn't have to be specific to cookies, it could be general sweet and savoury day. So what I'm going to put is a day to celebrate a certain type of snack, cheese or cookies, or just a general sweet and savoury day. If we can't get our heart set on a certain type of snack, we could just have it be something where all food is consumed and nommed on and enjoyed on a set. We're going to have to decide what season these are most appropriate for as well, the ones that we end up setting in stone. I think at some point we'll finally decide which ones we're going to go for, and we'll pick a day on the calendar that should be celebrated. But we're not going to do that yet. We'll today will be just about getting all the ideas down first, so we have as many as possible for when we shortlist and assign them to our calendar. The rivalry between lovers of pretzels and potato chips, that's funny. Let's add that as a second bullet point. In fact, we'll give that its own bullet point as well. And even if, like, you know, this could end up being, even if we have the general sweets and savoury day, the rivalry could form naturally in NPC dialogue and become a quest or something. Potential quest. Potential NPC dialogue or quest. Because I could totally see something like that going down on that day. The Truth Day, where people tell others exactly how they feel without fear of recourse. Many people leave town on this day for various vacations, fearing what might be said. That is, like, very intriguing. Those days are really fascinating to me. I think we'll put that next to the Forgiveness Day because there's a link. So paste it out. There we go. If anyone has any more, like, moral kind of theme days like that, feel free to share, because those are very thought-provoking and intriguing, and it could lead to different stories as well. I mean, when you think of people like Carol the Barrel on Forgiveness Day, and those fiery characters that would have a lot of enemies, and same for Truth Day, certain characters that have secrets. It's all just very intriguing and has potential to really throw character arcs into a real sin. So, you know, it's cool. I like it. We GG Van. A day like the Purge movies. What are the Purge movies, Kung? I've never seen them. What happens in them? I want to know so I can write it down. Genius, it is. For Naked Day, there could be a werewolf that he's coming out, and maybe he's killed the day afterwards, and then the hero is given a quest to find the murder. All right, let's copy and paste that one. I mean, saying like werewolves, it makes me think of, like, you know, the felines and canine race, right? And I mean, I know that Wolverkin in particular in our world is a sort of branch off the canine race. But how would they be on Naked Day, right? The felines and the canines, because they're kind of, the fur covers them up anyway, so it's not like it's a big deal for them. But for humans, it would be very weird for them. Okay, so where was the Naked Day? Where's that hiding? Paste that format in. There we go. Put Wolverkin. It's technically, that is what they're called in our world. Well, one of our NPCs is a druid who happens to be a werewolf, which was given the name Wolverkin on their bio. Maybe one town is known for their potatoes and related products, and they look down on the other town with their newfangled pretzels, and they'll let any visitors know how they feel about it. Let's copy and paste that too. I like how we're coming up with potential quest ideas and story ideas from these festivals, because that's really what this is all about, isn't it? We want these festivals to bring ideas and plots and even silly side things that just entertain us as well to the story. This story in particular could definitely be a fit for the farmland and the capital, I think. Because when we move on to episode 2, there's at the area after Everbloom, there's a local farmland that's very, very close to the more higher class capital. The farmland's a little bit more humble. And with they definitely have potatoes or something to that degree. And maybe the capital has, you know, a more fancy, like you say, pretzels or something. So that could fit for something like that. It'd be a bit of a rivalry. Sorry, BRB. No worries, Looking Glasses. I hope you enjoy BRB. Alright, so back to looking at the wacky festivals. We got to Cheese Festival. I want to read this still. Tradition continues today when the people of small villages open a pit each August and fill it with large rounds of cheese. The cheese is aged for 3 months. All of the town's pits were opened and the cheese is removed. The cave is opened and the odour escapes the pit. It can be so strong that people have actually died from the fumes. During the 3 months in the pit, a fermentation process occurs which gives the cheese its unique smell and flavour. That is mad. Wow. I'm inspired. I'm going to have to write a note about that. Check. Okay, where is Sarah? We'll put these on separate lines. A cookie celebration. Read about cheese festival in Italy where people where cheese was stored in pits for months. Stored and aged in pits for months. When the pits were opened, the odour even killed people. I don't know why I'm laughing. I must be evil to laugh at that. It's not funny if people die. It's just absolutely bonkers. What song is this? What's playing? Let me check. All the music that's playing in the background, every single song on my playlist is RPG music that I'll likely be using for the game. It's by a composer called Aaron Kroger, and his music's copyright free, so it's great. I'll give you the name in chat so peeps know how to spell it. As it, yes, the surname's a bit of an unusual spelling. I don't even know if I pronounced it correctly. Okay, where were we? Okay, I'm glad I did read that. About the cheese. But yeah, there's hundreds of songs on this playlist. Loads of different ones. Which is great because we'll have plenty of choice for themes and different music types. I smell food. Celebrate the culture on the cross-region massive prize money. Camel beauty competition. We're cheering. And camels are split by breed, sex and age and are judged on over 20 qualities based on their physical appearance, from the drop of their lip to the height of their hump. This is wacky. Camel bling is encouraged though. You don't want to take away too much from their natural beauty. The whole event obviously takes. Wow. You know, that's got to go. Not necessarily camel, but we can do it with our own animal. I want to put all the weird ones together. So, a day where there is a beauty competition for a certain creature type, certain animal creature type. I'll put read about camel. In where they are split by breed, sex, age, and judged on their the drop of their lip and the height of their hump. So weird. Camel bling. And camel bling is encouraged, but though you don't want to take away from that. Gotta happen. Welcome back, Looking Glasses. You missed a real wild one. Well, we were going through the wacky list. Turns out the cheese festival, the odour of the cheese festival in Italy killed a bunch of people because the odour was so strong. And now I ended up finding one about a camel beauty contest where camels are judged from the drop of their lip and the height of their humps, and it's like crazy that there's actually a camel beauty contest out there, so I've totally added it to the list, haven't I? Because you never know, we might want to do that for an animal in our world. Just bonkers. Yeah. It's just bonkers. It's right here. This is so funny and interesting. And even the cheese one blew my mind as well. People died from the fumes. My goodness. So let's see what other wild ones are going to be here. Okay, so yeah, we got to the camel one. There they are. The camel beauty contest. Some people make crepes, serve them with butter, blah blah blah. Setting bonfire and burning a straw doll that represents winter. Oh, forgiveness. People ask forgiveness from their friends for anything they might have done wrong. Yeah, interesting. We kind of got that now. One of the weirdest and coolest things about this festival is the old tradition of people beating passers-by. Oh, on the head with a leek. I was going to say people beating passers-by. That's not a good festival. But that makes it a little bit more charming. On the head. Nowadays they do is soft, squeaky plastic hammers besides tapping each other on the heads, people. It's quirky enough for me to want to add it to the list. A day where people hit passers-by on the head with a good look. Yeah, we don't know what the object is. We can choose whatever object we want in our world. Something soft that's not going to hurt them ideally. Something very silly. I was about to get worried there. Like it's a leak in that one, so I'll put read about, well, object is a leak in, what festival was it? Portugal Feast of Saint John. Just so we know the context of what it was inspired by. Sandwich Day is a corporate funded holiday. Hi Chum, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Yeah, we've got a sandwich day here. It's still very vague on with what that involves, but any thoughts we'll get down. We just know we're going to have an underground sandwich factory in the game that's abandoned, but with the ambition of being, you know, into this big tourist thing. And everybody latched on to it in stream. Everybody became obsessed with the sandwiches when that idea was given a while ago. So who knows what that day is going to be about. But it could be a corporate funded holiday. So I'm going to put in brackets just so I don't forget, because who knows. Sandwich related content is always good. That's the thing, I'm glad that you've actually mentioned corporate funded holidays, because that's something to consider too, like holidays that the government have created, or like politically driven holidays as well, not necessarily just religion or cultured ones. So, because I'm sure Traitorio, the Prime Minister and the King and the government would have, not necessarily them, but ones throughout history could have created something for their own benefit as well. What have we got for Everbloom again? Harvest Day, Founding Festival. I was thinking of Valentine's Day being a creation of the card companies. Yeah, we have like a big blank on Valentine's Day at the moment for alternative versions of Valentine's Day in this world. Although we have mentioned that we will probably have one. I think there might be something Valentine's Day related in here. We've only got a version of Valentine's Day that is unique to this world as a bullet point so far, but we haven't actually thought of anything quirky or cool to have as a romance holiday day in this world just yet. So I'm up for ideas, folks. Because we can have a romance system in the game. You as the player will get the chance to pick an NPC to be together with. So, you know, it's got to be a love day, right? Creation of the card companies. Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting to think how things like that, like in terms of theme and setting, like with our cities, we got 3 major ones in mind. We got a capital, which is more medieval because we got a king, and your general more traditional sort of city of a medieval setting, and then we've got a more urban theme setting further west, which is quite gritty and less government driven, and then further north there's more of a higher class, mysterious, dreamy kind of city in the clouds. So who knows which one would be the most capitalist, right? Like level of technology is something to consider as well, and things like that, because I think that is on our list of things to do. And our RPG is a bit of a kitchen sink. It's a fantasy one, but a kitchen sink, so different themes, different sort of technology levels could exist. It's not solely medieval, although this part of the world we're in at the moment, this region, Everbloom and the nearby farm and the capital by it, is definitely more, I guess, medieval. Other parts of the world necessarily don't have to be, and certain elements might not be either. Oh, another oh no, go away band. They love me, don't they, the bots? I think we get one a day at least. So yeah, it's all sorts of things to consider now that that's been mentioned. And would there be room for failed holidays only being recognised by a few hangers on? Kid Yourself Day, where people can let their inner child free, except doing so ruin the economy of an entire region within 12 hours. So when people say don't kid yourself, they're dead serious. LOL. Let's get that in. We'll put that with the the other day that Looking Glasses suggested that after this one. Oh no. No. Paste without format. There we go. There we go. How about a mentor apprentice day where the youth can choose a mentor for a chance to try out an apprenticeship? Yeah, that's quite nice. That's very encouraging of education in this world. We'll put that here next to the other youth related one. You could have a lot of fun with alternative Christmas. There's so many strange traditions out there. Could riff on a few. Exactly, and that's what I've been trying to do for this segment of the stream. I've got some articles up and I'm looking at real life traditions and festivals in over the world and seeing what weird and wacky things people do. There's been some really bonkers ones, guys. There's been a cheese festival where cheese has had an odour so strong that it's killed people. There's a camel beauty competition where they're judged by the height of their hump. There's what was the other one? There was another one, a naked people festival as well. And you know, there's all sorts. I'm really glad I'm reading this article because there could be some that we're really inspired by, so I've made sure to list them because you never know, there might be a place to do our own version of those. And hi Rose, how are you? Hi Rod, how are you doing today? So good to see you. I hope you are well. That's also bring your kid to work down the Henman very concerned about the other kid who wants it. Yeah, it's kind of like a version of that for sure. So that's why I put them together on the list. The mentor, apprentice and the take your kid to work day, because it could take a bit of inspiration from both ideas, right? And whatever we want to name it, whether we call it Mentor Day as our title, a little bit more shorter and sweeter, but they're definitely linked. Something that would work well with quests or learning new jobs and spells. I'm going to put that in brackets as well. Why is that? There we go. Yeah, and you never know, not necessarily the player character, but there could be a time where there's another playable character in the game that we meet who does this, you know, and it could be part of their quest line for all we know, and it could be their way that they are good at what they do, or they're learning what they do. What have we got on this list? Have we got any more wacky ones? The Garvat Festival is celebrated over 4 days, where the legendary King Momo takes over the state and on who on the starting day orders his subjects to party. Yeah, there definitely needs to be some political festivals where the king and Traitorio really sort of clearly have taken advantage and are using that as a opportunity for their own agendas, perhaps, because Traitorio's definitely a dictator. The other king less so. He's a little bit more passive, should we say, but there could be more to him. He could be the secret bad guy for all we know. It's always the ones you don't think. Streets blaze with music and colour attract thousands of travellers from across the globe. Cool. What? Am I reading this correctly? Nuts. Okay. Yeah, I thought it meant actual, you know, private parts then. But it isn't. It's just, just bull testicle. Okay, the weapon of choice. Oh, a wine festival. That's an interesting one. Well beyond sipping on wine each year on June. Everyone gathers to wage war on one another by spraying and dumping wine until all the battlers have completely turned purple by becoming drenched in wine. It's crazy good fun. That's an interesting one that I think's worth adding to the list. A wine festival where everyone until everyone has turned purple. See, now what is the event, the festival called, so we can... Wine festival in Spain. Cool. Pause. Oh no, not stupid ad. That's why I don't like Twitch right now, because of the ads. They're stupid, aren't they? Gonna have a good evening, weekend talk Sunday. Yeah, it's the last stream of the week, folks. So I'm really excited to get into another couple of streams next week and more world building, just so you know, as a reminder, everybody. We're going to be carrying on with this. It's been all about the calendar this week. It's been about thinking of the structure of the calendar, the months, and now we're on to events and festivals today specifically, but next week we're going to probably move more on to important figures. I'd say it'll be about important figures next week. So, things like the actual gods will be one important figure, of course, and the pantheon, and then we'll probably move on to some of the more historical important people of the past as well, like rulers and leaders. So specifically those things I think will be a good point next, because even if it's just ideas for now who those people could be and just pure brainstorming and thoughts, we don't have to 100% set in stone who they are, but having a think about who they could be and the sort of things that they could have done and what could have happened could really get some ideas potentially for characters, and it could even trigger the present day events as well and why things are the way they are. And we'll probably focus on after that on things like thinking of Lightfall's history and timeline and the war between the humans and reptile after that. So that's going to be what's on the agenda next. But before we go today, I definitely want to make sure we've thought completely of all the festivals, because this is the festival stream. We will revisit this again some point in the future, but next time we revisit it, I'm going to be working more on structuring this list and assigning a day and a month to each of them so that we can get them organised and set in stone. So today is really the main chance to to get the thoughts down and make the list. For a political holiday, would you like a day that keeps getting its name changed because each new leader renames it and makes it all about himself? That's a funny thing, and I could definitely imagine our Prime Minister Traitorio doing that. We actually have a Traitorio Day here, and it is named after him as well. But I'm glad that we've got a bit more text to complement that, so I'm going to add that there. So we'll say a political holiday that keeps getting its name changed because each new leader renames it and makes it all about him or herself, which it really fits. And it would be called Traitor's Day, which is the actual name of the Prime Minister's Day. And it's a great name because it's got traitor in it, so it really spells out that he's a villain. But you know, it's not. It's like he's ignorant, like nobody even notices that, or all his minions are so blind. Okay, so there we go. That is there. Thank you, Looking Glasses. And take care, Rod. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We got the wine one. We'll just quickly skim read these now. That's just a dance festival, I think, and I think we've already got something like that. An ice carving competition. Ice into whimsical works of art. See, things like this are specific to locations because we have a snow area. So a festival where an ice festival where ice is carved into works of art in the snow area. Ice is carved into works of art. That's pretty quirky and creative, so I figured I'd stick that on there just because you never know, that could work. Or something similar. The masterpieces could be dotted around the area later. The Falls of Valencia is pretty fun and explosive. Oh, really? I'm gonna have to make sure I put that somewhere. So, where's our outrageous day? In fact, we'll split this. We'll put Naked Day. People walk around naked in their true skins. We'll put see the Falls of Valencia. It's pretty fun and explosive. And also see Africa Birth Inspiration, because I figured we got to have an outrageous one, and I think Naked Day could kind of be considered the outrageous one potentially, but not necessarily, so maybe we'll split that one and put that as its own separate thing. Maybe Traitorio Day should come right after the Moon Day, or maybe he's arrogant enough to put it right after the Sun Day. Interesting. So that could be either. It all depends what god he worships or where he aligns more. So maybe we'll get more of an idea as we form the sort of pantheon where people like Traitorio would sort of be. So we'll keep that vague for now, but it's definitely worth writing down. Could come right after Moon Day or Sunday. if he is arrogant enough, which he is. I mean, he would see himself as because that's what Sunday's about, like celebrating heroes, so it would make sense. We'll put that then. Naked Day, yeah, we actually are going to have a Naked Day. I think it stands out too much not to, and it's just an opportunity for comic relief. It obviously makes the game a little bit X-rated, but I think Raindrop Chronicles is definitely going to have themes that aren't for kids anyway, because there's just too much stuff that's going to happen in this game that's going to either be dark or, like, you know, not family friendly. Even though there's cute, sweet characters, some people could mistake it for being family friendly. I'm thinking about the Naked Day and the age group we are doing this for. Will the bodies be pixelated? They will be. So obviously it's not going to be like, whoa, this is porn or anything like that, because we've only got pixels sprites here, but it's still going to be quite amusing at minimum, because still seeing pixels walking about in the nude is quite a surprise. But we've all seen it. We had a stream a few weeks ago where we showed a naked blue body butt, didn't we? And it was nothing shocking to the eyes, just a pixel butt. But yeah, there's for the age group, it's still a question mark at this point in time what it's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be for people who are like older teens at the least, I'd say. You know, it all depends, either older teen or for mature. Well, it all depends. Once we start getting actual scenes done and we've got like story plots down and we're seeing the kind of dark stuff that happens in the game, potentially we'll have more of an idea then. And how about a diet day where people are encouraged to eat healthy, but it just results in people smuggling sweets, dodging dinners, and ultimately eating worse? Yeah, that's a good one, so I'm going to copy that one too. We have we got anything? Yeah, we got the sweet and snacks day, so maybe we should put it below this. Diet day. That makes sense. That totally would happen on diet day for sure. Hi Manna, how you doing? It's so good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're brainstorming ideas for festivals at the moment. And we're even more attached to the weirder and wacky festivals as well, because that's an opportunity to insert some amusement into the game, which is always irresistible. But we do have some very traditional festivals on the list as well, or even alternative versions of common festivals like Halloween, Christmas and Valentine's Day are always fun as well, where it's very much like those but with their own unique twist to them. Have we got any more? So we got the Ice Magic one that I had down. There's a Pumpkin Festival. Wow, there's a lot of festivals to look for on this list, and the stream is definitely coming to an end as well, which is sad because we're having so much fun listing all these ideas, and I don't even think we've even reached the potential of what we could have here. There's definitely room for more, and at some point in the future we will be having another festival calendar stream where we get a little bit more structured about this and we start actually putting them on the calendar, and we'll put it on the Law Bible as an article as well. So there will be another opportunity to add to this. It's not the last time. But we'll probably be moving on to the God section and important people next week, because I see this world building segment that we're going to have for the next few weeks is more of getting all our vague thoughts together and just getting them down, thoughts down on paper. But there'll be an opportunity at some point where we get more set in stone some of this world building as well. But we can't do that until we actually have all the ideas down, can we? We want to get all the possibilities down first. Well, what I was meaning is no matter who he worships, it is after the moon day he's saying he's the greatest companion to the king. If it is after Sunday, he's trying to appear as following the king when actually he thinks of being a true leader. Yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense. And so that's fine, Van, for sure. So I think I could definitely imagine him putting that day after the Sunday. The more I think about it, I was yeah, okay, so cool. I'll set them for mature, not children. Yeah, so I mean it's a lot easier when you're a writer to not limit yourself in terms of what the content is going to be. So you know, once you say it's going to be family friendly, you can always restrict yourself, can't you? And then you limit what you can have in the game. So I'm definitely more inclined to just say, you know, we'll say, and we'll just put in what we enjoy and what we feel would make a good story, and then we'll see at the end who it's going to be for once all the stories be written. Results, not resorts. Oh, have we accidentally had a typo there? Where was it? Gosh, we got such a big list now that we can't even find it. There we go. Just results. Typo alert all the time that I do that. It happens. There we go. Sorry about I do it all the time, looking glasses, so I can totally understand that happening, especially when you get excited and you just want to get the idea down. It happens. Alright guys, so unfortunately, damn it, it's so late. Like, I could stream these world building streams for way longer because, you know, we can get so carried away with talking about these things. So I am going to have to put an end to it now. I would like to potentially go over to someone now, so I'm going to get Twitch up. Pass the love. We'll see if anyone's on. But if anyone has any thoughts, don't feel free to say in the Discord if anything springs to mind in the ideas channel. Feel free to say, because I think there's definitely an opportunity to have way more on our list than what we've got, but there's definitely some really good ones. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So we will be back on Tuesday. My dinner's ready, folks, so I am going to have to go straight away, unfortunately, and we'll make up with it with a trivia next time, a couple of trivias maybe, and a raid then. But I appreciate hanging out, and we're on to the important people next week, so more fun world building next week, everybody. And these are good streams to have, like, for sure. They're just super fun streams to have and really, really cool to do on stream. So take care, everyone. Have an awesome day. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Bye.